Problems because we have everything, but honestly, I feel like we do have challenges ourselves. Some challenges are when we don't know our direction in life. Parents, they always ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? You want to get married, all that stuff. I don't know what my dream is, and still trying to find out what I want to be when I grow up. Another challenge I face is I feel that people don't listen to us as much as they listen to adults. Come on, let's be honest here. So that's the challenges that I face. What does Jesus mean to me? Jesus is, to me, he's someone who has a lot of love to share to everyone. Like, why would you die for someone you have never met before in your whole life and doesn't know you exist? The fact that he died for those who didn't even believe in him or persecuted him, it means a lot to me because I don't know how someone can have so much love in their body. Recently, I went to an OA mission trip with church, and it was fun. I met a lot of youths there, a lot of young kids and kids my age, and it was very different from what I expected. And a lot of different youths, they live very different from like what I call our modern life. I'm considered a modern day kid, so I have like electricity, hospitals, schools, all that stuff. They don't have that there. They play by themselves with people, not with gadgets. They know how to have fun now, and I think that they know how to appreciate small gifts, like when we gave out goodie bags and stuff. They were really happy to with food and stuff like that, and I can't wait to go for the next missionary thing. I've been in CBC for 15 years since I was born. I go to a lot of other churches, and honestly, our church youth ministry isn't that big. We don't really have a lot of youths. I would like to hope that more youths come to Youth Saturday, and we can talk more, be more comfortable with each other, not so awkward. Be like brothers and sisters and go for more trips together. And I serve as a musician, and God taught me that our talents are not it is what we work for, but it's also like what He wants to give us. So I play a lot of music instruments. It's not because I'm talented, it's because God gave me the talent, and that I should use my strength for good things like serving in church or in school and stuff like that. And we should thank God that we have the talents we have today. And also God has taught me that through missionary journeys we should share love, and we should appreciate everything, like even the smallest things. Yeah. Like friends and family, we don't know when we're going to leave or go away. So we should really appreciate what God has given to us. And through missionary trips, I learned that my life is that good. I mean, very, very good. Very good. And I learned that giving feels better than receiving, because you can see how happy the kids are when you give gifts to them. And yeah, that's my story with Jesus.
at the end of my sharing. My name is Adriel. My wife is Judith back there. 3 boys. We've been in this church since 2006 when we moved back to Cheras from Puchong. And we got recommended to come and visit this church from Puchong Community Baptist Church back then that we were attending. So I've been helping out with a youth group ever since Pastor Tim went to US to study his theological seminary, and I want to really thank God, that through serving in church, right, not be in youth ministry, but any other ministries that you see, you can really see God's faithfulness at work, right? And not every Saturday, but every Saturday that we meet, right? Sometimes you're wondering, would there be anyone to income, right? So that's always probably the first thing at the back of my mind. So you have Phoebe, who's also helping out with youth, Daniel, Andrew, the 2 brothers, Joel is not here, sometimes Shawnee, right? So we will all be in church at 2:30, and we all set up the chairs and the tables, and pianos ready for worship, but hey, there's no youth around, right? So, over time, that's how you see God's faithfulness at work, right? And, in the past couple of months on average, we've had between 12 to 15, in the youth meetings, right? So, of course, we began the year with almost 30, right? So, it's the end of the year, everyone's looking for a holiday, I guess. But God's faithfulness is continuously at work, right? And I want to thank God that, giving us the youth in this church, right, that they have a place that they can come to, right, they can call home and they can have fellowship. I want to thank the church, right, for all of the members, the people here that you lend your support, you allow us to use the place, you allow us to use the facility. People come in and out. Like yesterday, we had Auntie Carrie and Auntie Ivy that provided food, right? And I think within 20 minutes, all the food were gone, right? So you can see the needs of the youth, right? And I think lastly, I also want to really thank the parents, right? And I know these days technology is one very key part of everyone's life, and I use Joshua and Jaden as an example. The 2 brothers go around by Grab, right? When the parents are away from work, they will take Grab to church themselves, right? And Grab is also one means that the youth can come to church for youth meetings. But I also want to thank the parents that you take time out to send them, to pick them up, bring them home. But I also want to give a message that in case your kids wants to come to church, and you as a parents are not able to fetch them around, do ask your kid to put a SOS in the WhatsApp, right? Then we will arrange transport, right? So if you open your bulletins, there is a half a page write up on the youth ministry in this church, and there are 3 things at the bottom that we would like to ask you to support us through prayer, right? And whatever means that the church can help out. And as we are having only 2 more youth meetings for this year, this coming Saturday and the following Saturday, then we're going to be taking a break and we'll recommence again in January. So now is the time for us to start praying and planning for next year to see how things will turn out, who we have in our midst, and if all the youth turns out, that is the best. But if only 2 turns out, we will still run the youth ministry, right? And nothing will stop us from having a place for the youth to meet on a Saturday. So we meet every 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Saturday of each month. So the 1st we don't meet, and if there's a 5th Saturday we don't meet also. 2:30 Saturday afternoon. Depending on the activities we do, it ranges from we will finish 4:35 or sometimes even 6, and sometimes we'll be meeting out for dinners also. And just a broadcast up here to all the youths, right? Whether you're in secondary school, college, university. In 2 weeks' time, on the 23rd of November, it's our last youth meeting, so please come 2:30, and we're going to be following on by a mega barbecue. I have to use your words then, right? So, but you're expected to, I'm going to quote him again, right? You're going to have to build your own barbecue pit. You're going to have to start your own fire, you're going to have to cook your own food, right? If you achieve all three, you go home satisfied, right? If you don't achieve, you still need to stay back to help clean up the church, right? So we hope to see more, right? I know some are going through major exams, right? But hope by then most of it will be settled and you can come and join us, and we will provide more publicity as we begin the new year. So I'm going to read the verse, and it's an encouragement for the parents, right, for the church, and also for all the youths, right, be it you're in primary school, secondary school, college, university, young working adults that just graduated, looking for work, and all started work. So listen to God's word as I read to you from Psalms 119, verse 9. How can a young man stay on the path of purity by living according to your word? I seek you with all my heart. Do not let me stray from your commands. I have hidden your word in my heart that I might not sin against you. Praise be to you, Lord. Teach me your decrees. With my lips I recount all the laws that come from your mouth. I rejoice in following your statutes, as one rejoices in great riches. I meditate on your precepts and consider your ways, and I delight in your decrees, and I will not neglect your word. May God bless the reading of his word. I'll pass the time to Pastor Tim and Samuel.
We are preaching. Okay, a bit of housekeeping. As Adrian mentioned earlier, we want to see the church grow and serve. So you have this in your bulletins today. Please fill it out and return it today. Alright? Give it to an usher or someone at the back. Just leave it at the table if you can't. But we want all these things, these papers, back today. Can you do that for us? Yes? Okay. Good morning. If
your first time here today, or your 100th time here today,
we would like to welcome you
to our Youth Sunday.
Okay, my name is Timothy Lee, and this is my brother
Samuel.
Lee. Okay, we're gonna do something for the first time today. So many firsts. We had the first Cassandra worship leading. Many of the musicians were first time. Today is the first time there was an account of the oldest youth in the church. Michael and myself and Adriel were somehow considered youth today. Thank you. But so many firsts, and it's Samuel's first time sharing God's word with you. So, do you realize that what Raylan was saying, that we need to listen to the youths a lot more? Do you realize that they actually listen to us so much they listen to us as adults so much that when we ask them to conduct a service, a worship service, right? They did exactly the same thing as how we would run it. So if you think your youth are not listening to you, no, they are looking at every single thing you do and every word you say, because you sounded exactly like how our chaplain sound every Sunday. I think we need to listen better. Samuel, my first experience of meeting Samuel is when I followed my parents to a life group at his parents' house, Adrian and Judith. And back then, there was only Samuel, and he was the sweetest boy. And I would say that he retained this adorable look, it's just that he's stretched out. Okay, nothing changed. He's just he stretched out vertically because somehow or other he's adverse to gravity and he continues to defy gravity, while the rest of us are challenged by it. Okay, I've taught Samuel through his childhood in various times of his life, and Samuel is one of those students that has always something to say. If you ever taught someone or taught a kids class, there's always that kid that has something to say. Okay, you know those type of students, but as a teacher we have no choice. We will let the student say. And sometimes to listen And some of the things that our students say will always amaze us and humble us. And it's something that we can learn from. So with that, I believe God is going to use Samuel to say something to us today. And it is one of those things that we have to listen. Okay, we have to listen to the Spirit who is putting these words in our brother Samuel. So before you begin, can you read for us Revelation 7? Okay, if you have your Bibles, let's read it together. I'll pass the mic now to Samuel.
Okay, this is the NIV version, New International Version of the Bible. Revelation chapter 7, verses 1 to 17. After this, I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding back the 4 winds of the earth to prevent any wind from blowing on the land or on the sea or on any tree. Then I saw another angel coming up from the east, having the seal of the living God. He called out in a loud voice to the 4 angels who had been given power to harm the land and the sea. Do not harm the land or the sea or the trees until we put a seal on the foreheads of the servants of our God. Then I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 from all the tribes of Israel. From the tribe of Judah, 12,000 were sealed. From the tribe of Reuben, 12,000. From the tribe of Gad, 12,000. From the tribe of Asher, 12,000. From the tribe of Naphtali, 12,000. From the tribe of Manasseh, 12,000. From the tribe of Simeon, 12,000. From the tribe of Levi, 12,000. From the tribe of Issachar, 12,000. From the tribe of Zebulun, 12,000. From the tribe of Joseph, 12,000. From the tribe of Benjamin, 12,000. After this I looked, and there before me was a great multitude that no one could count, from every nation, tribe, people, and language, standing before the throne and in front of the Lamb. They were wearing white robes and were holding palm branches in their hands. And they cried out in a loud voice, "Salvation belongs to our God, who sits on the throne, and to the Lamb." All the angels were standing around the throne and around the elders and the 4 living creatures. They fell down on their faces before the throne and worshipped God, saying, "Amen. Praise and glory and wisdom and thanks and honor and power and strength be to our God forever and ever. Amen." Then one of the elders asked me, these in white robes, who are they and where did they come from?" I answered, "Sir, you know." And he said, "These are they who have come out of the great tribulation. They have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Therefore, they are before the throne of God and serve Him day and night in His temple. And He who sits on the throne will spread His tent over them. Never again will they hunger, never again will they thirst. The sun will not beat upon them, nor any scorching heat. The Lamb at the center of the throne will be their shepherd. He will lead them to springs of living water, and God will wipe away every tear from their eyes." Okay, so for this past week, I've been very busy with my school activities and planning for this message, and I'm very tired because it was sports activities, not studying. So, firstly, I would like to begin and read from my script, not improvise. Okay, when I first started reading the book of Revelation, I just took it as it is, such as an actual white horse coming down from heaven, or probably an actual real-life dragon later on in the book. To me, this book was more of how the world was going to end and what literally was going to happen as stated in the book. But we are going to be looking at chapter 7 for today on how it changed my perspective of the book of Revelation and what it is about. As I began to look deeper into what Revelation chapter 7 was trying to tell me, I realized that whatever John was writing down was a vision that he's witnessing. And that there is a greater meaning behind all that he is seeing and writing down. First things first, when John stated that 144,000 from the tribe of Israel, that is 12,000 from every tribe of Israel, doesn't exactly mean that only 144,000 were sealed and allowed to heaven. So where's the rest of us, right? And so I looked up for Pastor Tim, my mom's commentary books on the book of Revelation. It is rather just a symbolic meaning that a multiplication of 12 by 1000 emphasizes totality and fullness. That means completion, and that it's there. And the 144,000 represents God's people arrayed in battle formation. As in the book of Numbers, the phrase "of the tribe of" recalls the Old Testament census list, where in the book of Numbers, the purpose of the census was to organize a military force to conquer the promised land, New Jerusalem. Besides that, the second part of chapter 7 states that John saw a great multitude, which contradicts what was stated in the beginning of chapter 7. Because 144,000, a great multitude, uncountable. We learned that yesterday about contradiction in youth, such as Hope's Club, every Saturday. Yes. This great multitude of whom the Lord has sealed is the new Israel from every tribe and every tongue, which is God's chosen people, clothed in white robes, washed clean by the blood of the Lamb, like how the priests back in the Old Testament sacrificed lambs to consecrate the priests, as you can read in the Old Testament from Exodus. An interesting fact which I had noticed in my study of chapter 7 of the book of Revelation is that when they listed the tribes of Israel, they started out with Judah first instead of Reuben. Because Jesus was the descendant of Judah and is named the Lion of Judah. And besides that, Reuben had disappointed his father Jacob with many terrible and irresponsible acts back in the book of Genesis. Moving on from there, we see that John saw the great multitude praising the Lamb that was on the throne, and that the Lamb was a shepherd that would lead the great multitude to springs of living water and take good care of us, just like how David stated it in Psalms 23. Moving on from what I've discovered from studying this wonderful chapter, I have definitely stumbled upon certain challenges in reading and understanding what John's vision meant. With the help of Pastor Timothy and some more commentaries, I was able to grasp what John understood when he saw the visions in the book of Revelation. First of all, I have always taken the Bible literally and believed what was written without understanding the meaning or message behind the stories and passages. So I just took for whatever it states and just believed it for a very long time. For example, the 144,000 from the tribe of Israel being sealed, and the horse being summoned when Jesus had broken the seals in chapter 6. But this made me learn how to not take the Bible too literally. If not, it wouldn't make any sense at all, because it doesn't, and would be misinterpreted and misunderstood by many, and I would just be lying to myself for eternity. To further enable us to picture what John is trying to tell us, I'll give an example of what I experienced a few days ago, which is Friday, 8th of November. Firstly, in verse 9, the great multitude stood before the throne in white robes with palm branches in their hands, worshipping the Lamb on the throne. We can picture this as how Jesus entered Jerusalem, where the Jews welcomed him as king by waving palm branches. Besides that, palm branches were given as a reward to those who won a race in Rome. That's where Pastor Timothy comes in, which can show that we need to hold on to our faith in the Lord Jesus and run the race until the time comes where the four angels pull back the winds. When the four corners of the earth and the winds aren't actually winds, but rather God's judgment that were on pause until that all of God's servants, particularly all of us, were sealed. Miraculously, 2 days ago, my frisbee team, I played frisbee, it's pretty cool. We were champions of our school's in-house games, so I'll explain more. So the story goes like this. It was late in the afternoon, sun was up, our opponent was 1 point ahead of us, and we were close to winning, but we were close to losing as well. So we were running everywhere, and we didn't know what time it was till the game ends. So I ran to my opponent's end zone, caught the disc. Then I was told that I caught the disc a split second before the game ended. If it were to end, the score would be 4 for my opponent, 3 for my team. So we would have lost. But instead, I tied up the match, and we were able to carry on for 1 more point. So we all rejoiced. Then time comes for the final point that we need to score. And so our opponent threw the disc, and he almost caught the disc. He scored, but miraculously the wind blew. The disc flew, and then it was our turn to throw the disc. So my friend threw the disc. Surprisingly, the wind even made it worse. The disc flew out the field. So we had to get another disc, so we waited for 5 minutes. And once we got this back, we continued with the match. And he threw the disc, but it was flying out the field. Luckily, as I'm a bit heavy and I can't run that fast, I managed to run fast, but now I suffered the consequences that my body's aching really badly, and I had to take Panadol because I had fever because we were being rained. That was even worse. And I caught the disc. We won. We were all really happy. And we were rejoicing and we thank God. So we can tie this back to what Paul watches in verse 9 to 10, that we should complete the race, and at the end, we'll be able to rejoice in heaven forever and ever, eternity, because I kept remembering that moment which I caught the disc and we won. It keeps me happy all the time. So we should maintain our faith and continue suffering His judgments till God comes back and we can rejoice forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Samuel. Thank you, Cassandra, for a wonderful worship set by you and your team. Thank you for leading us in song. It's a perfect reminder that the church is made up and belongs to the youth as well. Just as much as our ministry serves the children and the families. Thank you to all the youths today who are knowing and realizing that for the first time you are very much a part of our church. And that even though you might see it as your parents' church, but we as a congregation see you and celebrate you for growing in your spiritual walk and physical lives. Thank you for allowing me to feel like a youth today. I've left that title a long time ago, but being a youth for the first time, I guess the quicker we understand that, and the better then we can equip our youths to transition to adulthood and to have a spiritual maturity. And for now, for today, just as Cassandra said, let us be youths and we'll be alongside these young men and women and to get to know them and to be led by them. Thank you, Rhian, for sharing your testimony with us. Your life carries a beat that resonates the love of Christ in all that you do. Okay, there you are. Okay. I'm glad I had the opportunity to teach you as well all those years ago, and to this day, today I can hear something that you have to say. Thank you, Adriel and the team, for your leadership, good time and effort in creating a space and a ministry that seeks to disciple our youths in this way of Jesus Christ. Thank you, Samuel, for carrying the weight of our sermon. Yes, Samuel. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, thank you for carrying the weight of the sermon. It's been a joy working with you for the past 2 weeks. Everyone will not know this, maybe his parents might, but I really pushed Samuel through the gauntlet these past 2 weeks. He's lived and he's breathed the book of Revelation, and God has used this young man to carry his word today. All your efforts has only encouraged me to be a better preacher for myself, and your insight from the Spirit, it speaks to us and it offers us something to learn from, and we are eager to hear your next sermon, Sarah. Okay? So just like your namesake in the Bible, young Samuel, continue to say, "Speak, Lord." for your servant is listening. And God will continue to speak to your humble heart. Let us pray. So come to God and pray now. God, speak, because we are your servants, and we want to eagerly listen to your word. We ask for your guidance, your spirit, to lead us in understanding your scriptures that lead us to a complete dependence and victory in our King, the slain yet standing Lamb, Jesus Christ. And it is in his name we pray. Amen. Like I mentioned earlier, Samuel did really a lot of the heavy lifting for me today. I didn't know what to prepare for the rest of the week. He did a lot of the research. He pushed me to research alongside with him. And we came up with a sermon separately, but we worked together. But I think you pretty much said, I don't know what else to say today. You probably said a lot more than I could say in 40 minutes as well. But what I'm going to say, I want to try to tie in what we have learned from last week with the breaking of the seals, the 6 seals, and to see where it will lead us in the coming weeks as we explore the book of Revelation. So recap, last week's message was the breaking of the seals. Remember, it was probably the most goth sermon ever preached. Okay, I'm not goth. Goth is as in bleak, as in dark. I should wear black, all black, and I put eyeliner on myself or something. It really felt like bad news all around. So we read from Revelation 5 that there was a scroll sealed with 7 seals, and no one could open the scroll but the Lion of Judah. And what John the writer sees was a slaughtered lamb. And those slaughtered, this lamb was standing in victory, and is the only one worthy. Right? The question stated, who is worthy? The lamb is worthy to open the scroll and to break the seals. So that's when things got from bad to worse. We talked about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, each a seal of its own, representing conquest, war, famine, economic instability, death. The 5th seal shows us the martyrs, the people who died as witnesses to Jesus, and they cried out for justice but were told to wait. Wait, because everything must come to an end. Everything must pass before things can go back right again. And the 6th seal was of cosmic proportions, where even nature itself is unstable. Earthquakes, and now no one can hide, because the judgment that is coming, for those who suffer and persevere in the land, they are secure, they are hidden. But the 6 seals was as if John's vision was a subversion of reality. Right? We talked about how he wanted us to see he wanted us to see the realities of life in a different way. There will be wars, world systems will be overturned, and when it was seen that sin and humanity's fallenness would do its worst, John's vision tells us that yes, those things will come, but that nothing can happen outside of God's control. And chapter 6 ends with the question, who then can stand when that day comes and God's judgment comes? And now we get the answer, chapter 7. Right? 7 told you about the 144,000, the great multitude, the new Israel, more importantly, the ones who have, in verse 14, have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Why didn't God just continue with the vision for the 7th seal? Not sure if you realize we only talked about 6 seals up to this point. Right? Only 6 seals. So why not just be done with it with the 7th seal? Why this pause? Why this interlude? It's as though God wants John and the reader and the listener to pause from what is happening and to reassess what's going on. You see, after hearing all 6 seals, especially from last week, I could stand to take a break as well. And I'm sure John appreciated when he experienced those visions for the first time. You see, interludes like this, pauses like this, shed light on the situation of God's people then, in relation to how they were suffering in persecution, and they were crying out for God's justice. But not only does it tell how God is with them in the suffering, as a suffering lamb, yet it now redirects their focus to a future hope. That's the message of Revelation 7. That your present sufferings and persecutions hail in the light of a future glory already won by the Lamb upon the throne. So remember the question at the end of chapter 6, verse 17. Who can withstand the wrath of God and the Lamb? You and I will stand. Because we are sealed. We are sealed by the Lamb. A seal indicating ownership and of protection. Archaeologists found pottery dating back to King Hezekiah in about 700 BC that had seal impressions indicating these storage jars as belonging to a king. Right? There was a seal, it's a broken piece of a pottery jar. Right? But there's a seal of the king. Now, where is this seal placed? Verse 3 tells us that we are sealed on our foreheads. Okay? In the Old Testament, the forehead would have represented one's inner posture of a relationship with God. Wouldn't it be cool to know the condition of one's heart by just looking at their forehead? Maybe it's the kind of message that you wear on your hats or your caps today or whatever you put up there. I don't know, but what I know is that this seal that is on the forehead, and if you know your revelation, the seal on the forehead is in contrast, is in opposition to another famous mark in Revelation, the mark of the beast, or 666. And that will be a vision for another sermon. Okay? But the seal of the Lamb as opposed to the ones who are belonging to the beast. And I said it last week, and I'll reiterate it again. Where will we be found when the day comes? Will we be hidden in Christ, or are we trying to hide away from Christ? So it's a similar question to us today. Who do we belong to? What seal is on our foreheads? Because if we are to be found hidden in Christ, if we place our hope in Him and are sealed by the Lamb, there will be suffering. Chapter 7 verse 14 tells us that the multitude that John sees in the throne room has come out of a great tribulation. It's a vindication of their suffering, tribulation, or great trouble because of who they stood for. And Samuel pointed out earlier, it's the ones who have their robes washed and made white in the blood of the Lamb, whose sins are forgiven. Theologian Richard Bauckham suggests that this is not just a washing of sins, but it's an indication of their suffering, of blood shed as martyrs during persecution, and now that their sufferings are vindicated, that now it is washed white in the blood of the Lamb. Both understandings are right. Jesus' blood is shed on our behalf to make us right with God, and as His followers, there will be suffering ahead of us as you stand for your faith. But it will be alright. It will be okay. Because the blood of the Lamb not only seals us, but we will be vindicated and redeemed. See, Revelation 7 speaks to us today that the Christian life is and will never be void of suffering. But there will become a time when there will no longer be suffering. no more hunger, no more thirst, and that the sun will not beat down, nor scorching heat will come upon us, because we have a good shepherd that will lead us in springs of living water. And that every tear you cry, whether in sorrows over death or in present suffering, is precious, and He will wipe away every tear. One of my favorite late night show hosts is the comedian Conan O'Brien. Okay, it's harder now to watch late night talk shows. Anybody watch late night talk shows here? No? Okay, it's fine. It's harder for us, for me at least, to watch late night talk shows like Conan because I don't have Astro or cable TV. Two, my boys tend to wear us out throughout the day, so no late night shows for me, as my wife and I will just fall asleep way before any of those shows come up. So the only way I catch up with Conan is through bits he puts up on YouTube. But anyways, Conan, the funny man, likes to go around visiting different countries, right? Where he will do special shows as he interacts with the culture and the people there. Recently, Conan and his crew visited Ghana, the country of Ghana. And Ghana was the original Gold Coast. Right? Okay, it was the original Gold Coast, ruled by the Kingdom of Ashanti before the European powers started colonizing Ghana in the 15th century. Because, as you guessed it, gold. And it led to this unsavory African history where the Africans were enslaved and sent away as slaves to the Americas and other parts of the world. Well, Ghana now is an independent and a thriving country. And what they did was they designated this year, 2019, as the year of the return. Okay, the year of the return. Ghanaians wanted to commemorate 400 years since the first enslaved Africans arrived in the Americas. And so for this tourism event, okay, what a tourism tagline, I think Malaysia could have stand to learn a little bit from them. Ghana called for African Americans or Africans around the world with Ghanaian roots to come back and see Ghana and see how they have grown. Come and see your homeland. And what a homecoming. The year of the return was similar to Israel's own policy of reaching out to Jews across Europe and around the world to return to their land in current days. I would imagine that as someone returning to a home or some resemblance of a home, be it in Ghana or Israel or even Malaysia, Baru, and we see familiar but new faces, things that have changed, things that might have not. But whatever the situation, there is a feeling, that feeling and experience of belonging, of returning to a home. Revelation 7 paints that picture of a home for us. One that as humanity have longed for, that we have longed for ever since we were banished from the garden. Ever since sin and evil has broken everything that is perfect and good in God's creation. But Revelation 7 tells us of a glorious homecoming, a great rejoicing, because the Lamb is going to lead us through these springs of living water. And He will lead us to where we belong, a home. Samuel said it's going to be like a celebration when you win when you catch that winning frisbee, or you have ran the race, that we are victors sharing in the victory of this Lamb. And we partake in the celebration, waving our palm branches, welcoming and worshipping the King on the throne. See, we who put our faith and hope in in Jesus Christ, knowing that in His death, our second death died there on Calvary, and in His resurrection, we have hope for new life. It's a recreation and a renewal of all things. Things going to be put back together. And just like how Youth Sunday today reminds us of a bigger picture of a church that consists of families both big and small, and of peoples from different countries and backgrounds and stages of life. Revelation 7 shows us, it shows us now that this bigger picture of God's redemptive plan includes peoples of all nations, tribes, people, and language. It's a picture of a victor with the palm branch that is found. Peoples of all nations, tribes, tongues, and languages, whose end goal is to worship the Lamb, to give proper and worth, to praise the One. And yet our salvation is not assured because of who we are, but because of the blood of Christ, because of the blood of the Lamb, that as suffering believers today we have a future confidence and hope that in an exalted Lamb, that however God's justice will prevail in the end, and when our living conditions will finally be reversed for good, when we all get to heaven. Brothers and sisters, are we sealed by the Lamb? Are our inner lives a reflection of the seal on our foreheads? Will we persevere like athletes running a race or catching a frisbee, that we press on to the victory found in the Lamb? See, for some of us who might have not committed to a decision of following Jesus with our lives, and if there was ever a good time to do so, it is always now. Now. And even if you're unsure, please talk to the person that you came with today, or speak to any of the church leaders, Pastor Kenneth or myself. Samuel mentioned it earlier in the announcements. We are doing baptism classes as well. Even if you want to know what it means to be baptized, just attend those classes too. There will be a day when there will be no more be suffering or tears shed over the fallenness and brokenness of humanity and God's creation. That God will come once again for His people who put their faith, trusting that He alone is worthy and that He alone is our salvation to a new life. A world that is restored back to its intended state, where God and man can dwell again together. And where we, as God's people, worship our King with song and feast. Church, that is the home that you and I belong to. Let us pray. God our Father, we thank You for the Lamb, Your Son. That is in Him that we are sealed, secure, protected, and in spite of tribulation and future hardships, of sorrows and heartbreaks, of persecution and of doubts, that You hold our worlds in the palm of Your hands. And so now we will walk with You, wherever You lead us through tears and joy. O Good Shepherd, lead us into springs of Your living water, that we might have life, new life. Spirit, move our hearts and speak to us, to find our faith in You, to find a future hope, where we will all come home, where we will all return, led by our Savior in songs of redemption. singing songs that declare our salvation is found and belongs